We are live. You have the glasses on, which tells me you are locked in and serious today. I like that. When the glasses come out, you know it's ready to go. All right, let's do the thing, shall we? Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. You can check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything you need to the cloud. It's also tax season. You got to scan stuff, send it off to your tax guy, like our guy Chris Brasfield. They could do that for you. But it is just past 2 o'clock. We are live on YouTube. You know what that means. It's an OG Live. Thanks to our friends at the Butcher's Market. It is a big game weekend, Saturday and Sunday. You got stuff on Saturday for the basketball game between Duke and Carolina? Butcher's Market's got you. You got stuff for the Super Bowl? Got invited to a party, you need to bring something? They got you too. Head on over to the Butcher's Market. And speaking of the big games, hey, let's just not waste any time. Let's get right down to it, shall we? Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is the governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein. Governor Stein, we appreciate the time, an appropriate opportunity to talk to you with things happening very, very tied to North Carolina on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, we got the Super Bowl on Saturday.
the actual Super Bowl for us around here, right?
Listen, just
look at his setup.
I was going to say,
look at his setup.
Don't bury the lead. Look at this man. He is putting his fist on the table. He is saying, you know what? No ambiguity here. All right.
What I'm saying is the heels have a chance, which it feels good to be able to say that because Duke has just been so strong in recent years.
Look. All I know is that we've been kind of accustomed to your predecessor, Roy Cooper, who was very, very like neutral. We're not going to say anything, but you got a He's Not Cup and a Drake May football. I got a feeling I know what you're pulling for on Saturday.
So better than that, I have a picture of me with Walter Davis, Phil Ford, and Mitch Kupchak when I was about 11 years old. At He's Not Here. And you're asking yourself, what is a kid doing at He's Not? This was in the mid-1970s, and there were no rules. My next door neighbor, a good buddy of mine, his dad was one of the 2 or 3 owners of He's Not Here. So the reason I don't hide any of this stuff is because I grew up in Chapel Hill in the 70s and early 80s. So I grew up watching Phil Ford and Walter Davis, Mitch Kupchak, and then Al Wood, and then, of course, Perkins, Worthy, Jordan. I got to go to those games whenever they were playing, and they were all in Carmichael's. This was pre-Dean Dome. And when basically the allegiances you form at the age of 12 are unshakable for the rest of your life.
See, I respect that.
I respect that.
I got to tell you, man, anytime Super Coop would try with the nonsense, no.
Mr. Double Tar Heel.
Duke, no, man, I ain't here for that. So, well, what do you think of this game, though? It's so weird. You just mentioned a lot of UNC legends. They were legends because they were here their whole careers. They were here for a long time, 3 or 4 years in each case. And you got to know them and you got to appreciate them. Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer, man, they're really good, but this is it. Like, this is the only time we're going to see them play in Chapel Hill, and then we'll get the return game in Durham. But what do you kind of make of these star freshmen in these two teams?
This is really interesting because this kind of one and done magic, comet-like star is old hat at Duke. I was just watching some old highlights the other day, and it was about Jabari Parker. And I'm like, oh yeah, Jabari Parker. He played at Duke. Like, they have had such a run of tremendous players who play 1 year and are gone, and they don't even have a permanent impression on my mind when I think about Duke. Whereas Carolina historically has not been that. Even in more recent years when Carolina's won the national championship or gone to the finals, Baycott, he played 4 years. RJ Davis, he played 4 years. So it's just been a very different culture.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Baycott had a bowl for 5.
And Baycott would still be there if the NCAA rules. Hey, he could come back. We're given
he would be welcome with open arms.
Right.
But this thing about Wilson and Boozer is, I think it's without precedent because Carolina has never had a freshman be this dominant player on the team. Duke has had those transformative freshmen before, but when you look at points, rebounds, assists, steals, block shots, Caleb Wilson leads in 4 of those 5 categories for Carolina. Cameron Boozer leads in 4 of those 5 categories for Duke. And so they're both top 3, top 4 picks in the NBA draft next year. And so even though I don't love it because I like building relationship and emotional attachment to these kids over time, I love Seth Trimble for that reason.
Yeah.
But it's a rare game of transcendent talent.
One thing that Giglio and I have appreciated about Caleb Wilson from the jump was when he went viral ahead of the football season, when he showed up to Keenan and he had that video about "we're coming for everybody." The old, the belt's out, right? And it's not just about Duke. We're coming for state. We're coming. He even dropped Wake Forest, which old heads like us would appreciate. So to your point, I agree. The stakes change, your attachment to players and the rivalry changes over time, but you got to move with the times. And I think Caleb Wilson uniquely is positioned to make an impact, like he already is, but also make an impact on this rivalry in a way that we just have to get accustomed to. He gets it, which I think makes this game even more, it makes it a little spicier for Saturday and obviously the return game in March.
Yeah, and when you look at the 2 programs, the level of parity historically has been just without precedent, and parity at the absolute highest of levels. It was a couple of years ago, I think it was 2021, the previous 100 games, the records were 50 and 50. And it wasn't only that, they had literally the exact number of points, 7,400 some odd points each in those 100 games. And I think since then, Duke might be +1 or +2 over Carolina. And Shire, he's 5-2 in recent years. And so it feels like Duke is just a little bit ahead. But whenever it's Carolina and Duke, it's just always a fun and fantastic game.
Somebody must follow Brian Ives on Twitter, because Brian always has the stat, ACC Network, ESPN, in terms of the 88th meeting between Duke and North Carolina ranked in those games. North Carolina, 44 wins, 77.9 points per game. Duke, 43 wins, 77.4 points per game. To your point, these are historically evenly matched games. And I expect more of this on Saturday. But here's the thing, going back to Caleb Wilson, he's been pretty good on those double teams. The awareness continues to get better. And Vasar, who we have not discussed, to me, is the true X factor in this game. We know what Caleb Wilson's capable of, but it's not going to work unless Vasar brings Duke out, which has been dominating in the paint. And he's clearly capable of doing that. That's why I've got him jotted down as the X factor in this game.
Well, I tip my hat to Hubert and his assistant coaches for targeting Vasar. He was the first big pickup in the transfer portal. Carolina, of course, knew from last year's team being small that there's just a ceiling that you can't reach when you're small, but there's a ceiling to how far the team can go. And so they made a concerted effort to go big. And when I saw Vasar's number in Arizona, he had like 3 or 4 rebounds a game, and he's tall and skinny. And I watched a couple of his highlights, and he was always out at the top of the key. And so my fear here's a thin, not so strong, easy to push around big man. And I would say I have been as impressed by his intensity as I have been Caleb Wilson's. And they're just a wonderful high-low combination. They love passing the ball to each other. Mm-hmm. And so it's been fun. And Duke has a great center, and I won't even say his name because I'll butcher it. He leads them in block shots.
You're talking about Patrick Gumba.
Yeah, he leads them in block shots. He's their 3rd leading scorer, rebounds a handful of games. But I agree with you that Vasar has the potential to be a difference maker in a battle of remarkable front lines.
Before we get to a Super Bowl question, and Drake May, obviously you're going to be also, you spent time, all of your education was in the Northeast. So I really don't want any of your Patriots takes, just so you know already. Just like off the jump, I'm not interested.
Can I tell you, I hate the Patriots historically. I hated the Patriots.
Whoa, all right. Oh, but you're going to be rooting for Drake. Okay, so that's offset by that. But you first of all, you're in one of those big years. By the way, I was in one last year when I turned 50. So you're gonna be turning 60 this year. Congratulations to you. Joe hasn't had one of these big numbers yet. He doesn't understand
getting there.
When you get to that year. It's like this whole year, and you have all these mixed emotions, right? And I'm sure
he hadn't had his 30th birthday yet.
Yeah, well, they don't count, man.
I mean, I'm an old soul. I'm an old soul. I'm getting to 50 here soon. I'm an old soul.
But you've spent your whole adult life and even really part of your teenage years preparing for this job, and now you've had 1 year on the job. I'm curious, what's this year taught you? What have you kind of learned, like even after all that great education that you've had, even all the wonderful experiences you've had in politics? What have you kind of learned this year in the first year in the big chair here in North Carolina?
The need for patience. I'm sort of by nature an impatient person. I see a problem. I want to fix it. I want to solve it. I want to move forward, make progress, and move on. And when you're dealing with institutions as big and really who have us, there's very few things that I do that I don't need partnership. I need partnership with the legislature. I need partnership of business community. I need partnership of nonprofits. And so you just have to be patient and work collaboratively and try to have a vision that a lot of people can get around and then work out a strategy to achieve the vision. So just accepting that reality is something I've had to learn in this seat.
You were involved at the Attorney General office with the Tez Walker eligibility case. Do you think any of what's going on, and you got a lot to worry about, I get all that, but do you think anything that's going on with NIL and the portal and employment and contracts and lawsuits we've seen at Duke and some of these other things, does that need to be something at the gubernatorial level that you see that you should be involved in? It's particularly in a state where college sports are so important.
I don't think I should be hiring and firing coaches or athletic directors. Like, I just don't think that's my job. I can have an opinion.
You like Louisiana.
Yeah, I was going to say, so okay, got it. You're not the Louisiana governor, so understand that.
So,
got that one.
But I'm a big sports fan, and obviously these things matter to the state. They matter to our public institutions. And so, yes, I have thoughts and ideas. Basically, we're in a period of great transition and turmoil. We were in an old system that did not meet the legal realities of the day. And we're in this transition period where we need to come out on the other side with a legal structure that can bring some rationality to it. You have to respect the autonomy and rights of the players. But you can do that. Professional leagues have figured out how to do that. And at the same time, have some order. I mean, you don't see people signing a contract, a starting pitcher for the New York Yankees signing a contract, and then on the last day of free agency say, you know what, I'm going to go play for the Red Sox this year. Right. You can't have that kind of chaos. And so we need to get to a different place. I do think policymakers will play a role, but there needs to be some form of collective bargaining between players and institutions because I think what's going on right now is not sustainable.
What brings out more opinion, NIL portal discussions or what to do with the Smith Center going forward?
I think that the former, simply because that applies to all schools.
Everybody.
But, for Carolina fans, there's a lot of talk about where they should play hoops.
You got a thought on that?
Dip your toe on that one.
You want to? I was gonna say you deal with controversial topics. I feel like that one might get dicey.
Yeah. The thing is that, look, I'm a true institutionalist. I'm a true legacy guy. Like, I was upset when Carolina left Carmichael for the Dean Dome because I was away at college when that happened, and my entire childhood was in Carmichael Auditorium, which to this day is the best place I've ever watched a sporting event. I mean, when there was a run, I remember James Worthy stealing the ball from Maryland when Al King was on Maryland at the end of the first half, running down and dunking it as the buzzer went off. And I've never felt that kind of excitement before. So I'm a Carmichael guy. So maybe Carolina should go back to Carmichael.
Well, you know what? They can play in Carmichael for 2 years while they renovate the Smith Center. Maybe that meets in the middle, right? Maybe
so I understand the desire to stay in the Dean Dome because there's so much of North Carolina basketball history that's there. I also understand that we're in this completely new day of sports where the dollar amounts are insane and there needs to be new revenue structures. So, there's no simple answer. I've not seen the financial analysis from the athletic department in terms of what a new stadium would mean in terms of new revenue sources to help the athletic program going forward. Nor have I seen what it would cost to build a new facility. So I think there's some hardcore financial analysis that needs to be done. So it's not purely an emotional decision.
So moving to the Super Bowl, and before we say goodbye, we'll close on the Super Bowl here. I see that Drake May, that's a signed football, I'm assuming, there in the backdrop.
Yeah, actually signed by Mac. But
okay, gotcha. Well, hey, look, Mac's been front and center talking about Drake May, so
I don't know the Texas logo on that one for you. Yeah.
So it's been, look, everything's coming up North Carolina this weekend, right? You got Duke Carolina on Saturday, and then Drake May and other players from North Carolina that are here. But Drake obviously is the highlight here. He's got the Carolina bloodline, obviously, with his dad being the quarterback there. You got Luke, etc. I'm curious about what this does for North Carolina, what this does for the school to have a guy from Charlotte who played at Carolina, has high school history, all that kind of stuff in the Super Bowl. I think that's something that everybody should be able to put their arms around, even with rivalries aside. And look, even NC State fans have to love this, because if they're being honest, they get a transitive property Super Bowl win if he does. He's like, hey, Drake never beat State, so there you go. Super Bowl winner couldn't beat State.
And I think in the Pats center a State grad.
Yep. Garrett Bradbury.
You have a State guy handing the ball, hiking the ball to a UNC quarterback. It's kind of cool. But do you know that Drake May is the second highest rated former UNC quarterback in the Super Bowl from high school?
I do. Chaz Surratt was activated off of the squad.
He's the special team.
You gotta get up earlier than that. Come on. Come on, man.
I did not know. I did not know that Chaz Surratt was activated. So did not know that.
Yeah. He's linebacker special teams for Seattle. Okay. I think the fact that Drake is doing this, it's great, obviously, for Carolina. It's great for the ACC. It validates our league as producing world-class, top-tier talent. Drake's mother, Amy, and my wife, Anna, were suite mates in college. And so there's one time we went to Huntersville to see Anna's mom, and we stopped by to see the Mays. And the boys were like 3, 5, 7, and 8. And it was a cul-de-sac. And you've never seen more sporting equipment spread out around a cul-de-sac than at the May household. Anna, my wife, not a sports fan, could not be more excited about Drake May in the Super Bowl.
See, I actually like Drake May for the reason that some State fans don't like Drake May. When he was like, you just couldn't get into Carolina. See, that's part of the eye play.
That's part of it.
That's how this all works, right? You got to shoot your shot. You got to talk your talk. Totally okay with that.
He's definitely the son of his father.
All right. So I'm assuming you got Carolina on Saturday.
Yep.
And Patriots on Sunday. Is that what I'm reading here?
Yep. 2-0.
Got it. You got anything else?
No.
Okay.
I'm just ecstatic that this man is taking a stand.
Well, we're gonna see Roy Cooper is gonna be in studio with us on Monday.
Now I really got to give him a hard time then.
Right. And Roy will be in studio with us because, we're all downtown. One of these days, we're going to have to get you to our little dorm room studio here so you can get the true feel for OG Media.
Or not. That's fine.
I mean, we can come to you. We got the mobile studio. I've done it. We've done it before.
We can just meet at the Longleaf Swine.
Or we can, that's right. We can go to the Swine as well.
Meet you
We've done that. That's the deal right there.
All right. We'll meet you at the Swine. But yeah, when we see Roy on Monday, we're going to give him a lot of crap because, hey, man.
Totally earned.
Come on. Josh, he's just rocking all the Carolina stuff. Where's your stuff at? Come on now.
Although, if the Heels lose on Saturday and the Pats lose on Sunday, I'm glad you're talking to him and not me on Monday.
Fair point. Governor Josh Stein, we appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend of sports, and we will talk to you later.
Good to see you guys.
All right, take it easy. That is Governor Josh Stein on the Heister Automotive Group hotline.
You want us to talk to?
I love our comments. Apparently, he's never been to Reynolds. talking about Carolina.
Well, he said it, and I was kind of like,
I know. Also,
but I will say I've never seen a men's game at Carmichael, so I'm not qualified.
So you're not qualified.
I would actually put Cameron over Reynolds.
Yeah,
but Reynolds was better than anything I've seen at Carolina.
Well, I mean, this depending on the sight lines. Trust me. I mean, the sight lines at Reynolds were
no. I sat under the Long Giants clock for that Kansas State game.
Oh, okay.
When Roy came in here with that war machine.
That's true. That's true.
Well, that was a team.
Ken, with a very good point about the Smith Center. Great non-answer about the Smith Center.
I mean,
he's keeping it. Clearly he would like.
He did say the economic study, which I think when it all comes said and done, I think that's what's going to drive this, right? Like, I mean, your hopes and your dreams don't.
Well, I haven't.
Your memories don't pay the bills.
On that particular front, Greg Barnes over at Inside Carolina dropped a new story today that I have not had a chance to read, but is on the docket. And it does a deep dive into what I had a hunch about, but at least based on the headline of the story and the preview for it. Again, I haven't read it yet, but I'm to assume it is highlighting the fact that there were plans, players weren't involved in said plans, and now it's spilled out, and they're trying to wrestle this thing back into an open conversation about what to do with the Smith Center, more so than what you can kind of tell was the money play of that Carolina North project. That just seems to be the thing that I find interesting.
Would you like me to have my first beer 2026 before Darin, during Darin?
Let's do it before Darin. I'm actually gonna do housekeeping now, so you can go up and get your beer.
It's right
as it's officially over. Dry January is over. You're finally gonna be back in a good mood. Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. Check it out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
We've got an After Dark this Saturday after the Duke Carolina game, so we'll be live on YouTube immediately following the contest. I'm trying to like meet it halfway in the middle. Jacob plays a hockey game at 5:55, so I think I'll just be there for the start, and then I get a skedaddle so I can watch the Duke Carolina game and be back up here in studio for an After Dark. Alex Nunley will be joining us, so that'll be a lot of fun. Of course, the After Darks are brought to you by our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. Check them out online at bloominblinds.com. That's Bloomin, I-N, blinds.com. 919-980-9815. You get 10 or more window treatments, you will get 10% off. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me finish talking about Bloomin' Blinds. Look, Chris does a great job. Chris and Nico do a fantastic job. They are local. They are here. You will see the truck around. You might even see it at Wake Competition Center. Chris is always grinding, and they got all sorts of solutions for you. It could be blinds repair. It could be automation. They've got it. So hit them up at bloominblinds.com. Gilio's drinking a beer. I might add that there's OG Light. That's not an OG Light, although maybe we come up with OG Brown. Maybe,
dude, I love a Newcastle. This was my beer of choice.
I have not seen a Newcastle in a hot
They don't
minute,
have them at the grocery store anymore, so I had to go by Chris and get it over at the Peace Street Market.
Okay, which you can get OG Light over at the Peace Street.
And
Market.
I got some of. I didn't bring them in. They're for the Super Bowl.
That's fine. You can also get OG Light over at our friends Longleaf Swine. So check out longleafswine.com. I think it's today is their final day to order ahead for the Super Bowl. If you're going to do some pre-ordering stuff, if you're going to do some catering. So hit up longleafswine.com. And again, if you go to Longleaf Swine, you might see us and the governor drinking OG Light one day.
That tastes like Mitch's, by the way.
Again, I have not had one of those.
I'm like transported right now.
Dude, I probably haven't had one of those in like since college.
What was the pool hall in front of the IHOP on Hillsborough Street? My fake ID.
Are you thinking about Pantana Bob's?
No, in front of the IHOP.
I don't remember the one on IHOP. I mean, the P Bob's is still there. The next to Nice Price.
Other way.
I don't remember there being a pool hall there.
Yeah. All the way on the other end. So it was like Daryl's, and then there was like some random hotel.
Yeah.
Gosh,
the Velvet Cloak. The Velvet Cloak.
And then there was an IHOP, and in front of the IHOP was a pool hall.
Okay.
It had like old arcade, had like Galaga and some other games in there.
I don't remember
my fake ID worked there.
Okay, that's good to know. You don't need a fake ID at Two Roosters. What you do need to
be there on Saturday. Though.
What you do need to do is be there on Saturday. Yes, I'm going to pull this up while you're watching on YouTube. We're here live. Jared and the crew posted this on their Instagram, and it is a Bowberry biscuit with ice cream on top of it. So yes, this Saturday at all 6 Two Roosters locations, they will have the full menu and a Bowberry biscuit sundae along with a Bowberry biscuit ice cream flavor while supplies last. This is all for National Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. So
I did this last year, and yes, the Bowberry biscuit, awesome. Like, it's like no big deal, right? The ice cream, obviously, can't beat it. But that right there, when they put that icing on and you walk in there, all you smell is the icing. Like,
that looks ridiculous.
Off the charts, man.
It looks fantastic.
Off the charts.
So head on over to Two Roosters this weekend. Go to their Instagram to find out more. And of course, our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority, check them out online at bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save. No contracts, by the way. Pay as you go. You can start thinking about your mosquito treatments now. Yes, it's cold, but it'll be spring before you know it. So head on over to bugsbite.com. So we're waiting on Darin Gantt. He's going to join us, Panthers.com. He's going to join us from San Francisco for the Super Bowl.
You got your pitchfork ready?
My pitchfork ready.
Well, I mean, Darin's a Super Bowl voter. I mean, Hall of Fame voter. So it's clearly all his fault.
I'm more curious about, it's been 10 years since the Super Bowl run for the Carolina Panthers. A lot has happened between now and then. And yeah, there are some discussions to be had about the Hall of Fame voting and what exactly is going on with Bill Belichick. And if this, with him and Robert Kraft not getting in, if that has anything to do with some upcoming changes. Although I was getting prepared for today's show, I went down a Super Bowl prop bet rabbit hole.
Oh, you got caught up in this?
I did. I'll admit.
How did you get caught up?
I got caught up in this. Well, so I'm
confused now.
So I was reading Neil Payne, his Substack. Neil does a lot of numbers. The reason why I got into this rabbit hole is because I was looking at his hockey at the Olympic break, ELO rankings, and various other things, right? And I was looking at his goals, his adjusted goals above replacement for a variety of players.
Sure.
Without looking, do you know the 2 Canes players in the top 50, and they're at the back end of the top 50 of adjusted goals above replacement this season, heading into the Olympic break? 2 Canes.
Only 2.
Only 2 in the top 50.
Who's having good statistical Ehlers?
Nope.
Ooh.
It's Sebastian Aho and Ghost Despair.
Fishy and the Ghost.
And then Jarvis is just outside. I think Jarvis is at 54 right now. So anyway, I was looking at that because, people talking about the trade deadline, and it's like, oh, Artemi Panarin. I'm like, no, that's not, no, that's not what they need. That's not what they need. What they do need, though, is a 2C. So go out and get one. I can think of one. But that's another conversation for another day. The reason why I got into this rabbit hole, so I was looking at Neil Payne, and he was looking at the spread, and it caught me. I did not think of 4.5 points as a quote unquote big spread. Okay. But what Neil was arguing is that spreads of 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5 don't really speak to adjusted for previous spreads, right? So like this is considered a big spread in a Super Bowl.
Okay.
In fact, we're on a 5-year streak of favorites failing to cover despite the pregame lines shrinking to basically the lowest points they've ever been.
Thanks, Chiefs. Yeah.
Is that if they only had the cheetah, right? And then he put this graphic out. I think I could pull it up on YouTube, and it showed you the charts, the average graph of Super Bowl spreads throughout the years.
You're quite the polymath, Joe.
I went in today.
Things you don't care about, and you somehow got caught up in this.
I got caught up in this because I remember, it's one of those things like, does your memory fail you, right? Because remember, for the longest time when we were growing up, Super Bowls were blowouts.
Yeah.
Super Bowls were blowouts.
About 20 years.
Yeah, Super Bowls were blowouts. The game themselves, everything, you were watching the commercials, you were watching the halftime show, you were watching all sorts of stuff, and the game itself was eh. And yet, over the last 10 years, the games have gotten really, really good. Very, very close. Very, very tight. I did not realize the Super Bowl that I went to, the 49ers were a record 19-point favorite over the Chargers in that game. I think that was the 95.
That game was in Miami?
That game was down in Miami. The Patriots were a 12.5-point favorite. And what was that? Super Bowl, was that 42? Whatever it is.
First go around with the Giants.
The first go around with the Giants. And then the Seahawks, this one at 4.5-point favorites. Relatively speaking, as the spreads have gone along, this is actually a pretty big spread, all things considered. And, the reason why these spreads are what they are is because all the commoners who don't bet usually during the football season decide this is the one time I'm going to bet. But Vegas has gotten smart about it.
Well, Darin's here, but I'll explain to you the biggest disaster in gambling history. It's related to a Super Bowl, and it's related to a smaller spread. But we'll do Darin first.
Okay, let's do that. Joining us on the Easter Automotive Group Hotline from Panthers.com, he is Darin Gantt. He is somewhere in the Bay Area because the Super Bowl is not in San Francisco. As I learned 10 years ago, Darin, you and I getting on a bus to go to media night at the SAP Arena with police escort. That was like, what, a 40-minute drive from San Francisco to get out there?
Oh, I think 40 is generous. I recall that being about an hour and a half. And,
okay. You know what? Maybe the conversation was so good with you and me that I totally forgot how long it was.
I know. Time flies when you're having fun. It became a running joke with my buddy Matt Mayoko from out here at NBC Sports Bay Area. I kept looking at him on those buses saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" And the answer was always no.
No. Absolutely not. All right. Has everybody calmed down with the Hall of Fame stuff? You're a Hall of Fame guy.
Nobody mailed dog feces to your house or threatened your family, I hope.
Oh, I got some very ugly online remarks on a platform I'm not really visiting all that much anymore. So, and it's part of the reason I have chosen not to visit that platform, frankly. No, people are passionate about this. It matters to them. So when reports got out there earlier about some of the people who did not get in, I think there is a lot of consternation. But here's the thing I've said throughout. And if you guys want to call me up when this process is over, I'm happy to talk you through my ballot. I have no problem sharing my ballot, but the Hall asked us early on to not get into that. And I'm going to abide by the rules. Call me old-fashioned. So I have taken on the approach of whether it's Pablo Torre's people reaching out or whoever it is, all the journalists trying to get to the bottom of this thing. I'm not participating in your witch hunt. So sorry to be a wet blanket, but I'm just old fashioned that way.
Were you embarrassed though? That
not even a little. I have always said
the process too much.
Yeah. I mean, I have always said, I vote for the best people on the ballot in front of me. That's the way I've always approached it. That's the way I always will. I think because of the process, and this is the thing I told Pablo the other day, this is much more of a process story than a personality story. So yes. I think when people wanted it to be, who are the 11 people who hated Bill? Yeah. It was far less of that than a lot of people who got caught up fumbling between, should I vote for this guy who might not have a chance? Vi Gregorian, whom I respect deeply out in Kansas City, admitted and took a lot of static for it, saying he was going to vote. He voted for the three seniors. And that's to each their own in that case, but I don't have any problem sharing my ballot after the fact. I believe sunshine disinfects and all that fun stuff about journalism. But yeah, this was a process driven thing. When you put the seniors and the coaches and the contributors all in one pool together and tell us to vote for three of those, that means at least one senior is going to get a vote. Even if you vote for the coach and the contributor, one of those guys is going to get a vote, which tilts the scales their way.
And here we thought that the original college football playoff with 4 teams that was agreed upon by 5 power conference teams was a silly process thing that was going to leave people upset. The Pro Football Hall of Fame said, hold my Newcastle. Now, so here's the thing. I'm with you on the process aspect of it.
Yeah.
So now that we know the process, I think it's kind of silly. I don't, especially when it comes to veteran players. I have the opinion, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but I'm of the opinion that you've had your time to get into the hall. At that point, if you haven't made it, you haven't made it. You don't need another special committee to then reassess these things and get you in because I feel like these are pity votes when you get to that.
Many people believe that sometimes the committee made of human beings gets it wrong. And there are players, certainly, if you look at the 3 seniors who were up this year, they were Roger Craig, the great running back from the 49ers teams of the 80s, Kenny Anderson, the old Bengals quarterback, who was the best quarterback in the league for a period of time. He won an MVP at a time when Montana and those guys were winning everything. And it was really hard for a Bengals quarterback to get a lot of traction back in that time. And then L.C. Greenwood, obviously, was overshadowed by so many of his Pittsburgh teammates. I mean, those guys, they're all valid cases for why they didn't push through during the time they were senior candidates. But as this thing goes on and as we limit the number, we used to get 5 moderns a year in every year. And there were 3 last year. We'll see what tonight holds. The math dictates it's either going to be 3 or 4. 5 is extremely unlikely, but it limits the pool. So, a Steve Smith fell out of the final 15 this year because there were 5 first-year eligible guys. And when only 3 left the pool last year, that meant 2 from last year's finalists had to go. And it was him and Fred Taylor.
I just think that's a separate conversation to have and separate that from contributors or coaches, right? Like it feels silly that you have this process that positions Bill Belichick, who's clearly a Hall of Famer, or Robert Kraft, who is clearly a Hall of Famer as a contributor to the game, has to combat that. Right. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah, and you're right. And a lot of people share that opinion, including me. I just think trying to compare those apples to those oranges leaves us in this weird fruit salad of a process that satisfies no one. I mean, it truly has detracted whoever comes out of that senior pool tonight. There is at least going to be a little bit of shade on the side because of you're not so-and-so or you're not the other one. Exactly. And that's unfortunate for that person because, listen, I could go through the cases for each of those 3 seniors, and there are valid cases for all 3, to be perfectly honest, and that they probably should have gotten in during the time they were modern candidates.
And that's where I was going to go. I think it's a real thing without ever being in that room. The way that you are, Darin. I think there's fatigue when it comes to, I think L.C. Greenwood and Roger Craig are perfect examples of team or dynasty fatigue. Yeah. Right? Like,
Torrey Holt's in that boat.
And I think Torrey's going to be in that boat too.
Reggie Wayne are guys who have been finalists for a long time, who were part of great teams and, may suffer for it. I mean, again, I'm the guy who stands here and talks about Steve Smith and can argue till I'm blue in the face. I have that Steve's better than either one of them. And I will continue to make that case because I believe it, because it's a lot harder to put up the kind of numbers Steve put up when you're playing with Jake Delhomme than it is when you're playing with Peyton Manning or Marshall Faulk and Orlando Pace and Ike Bruce.
Right. And I think that's where this whole process kind of gets, you get players like Roger Craig. Like when I saw that he's not in the Hall of Fame, I'm like, what are we like how is he not? Right. But I'll give you another example, because I feel like this is to say it's all process, right? You're telling me you watched football, you actually covered the NFL and watched football and didn't think Luke Kuechly was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's just no fucking way you watch Luke Kuechly play football and say he's not the most dominant person at his position in the game for a stretch.
I may have shared this with you guys before, and I don't mind saying this is a large part of the case I make for Luke. Luke Kuechly was named All-Pro 7 times, 5 first team, 2 second in 8 years. The only 2 players in the history of football, going back to the square head leather helmet days, who were all pros at a higher percentage of their careers than Luke were Barry Sanders and Jim Brown. The 2 guys Luke's ahead of immediately on that list are Reggie White and Anthony Munoz. And if you're in a club of 5 with Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, Anthony Munoz, and Reggie White, guess what, friends? You are the elite of the elite. You are that guy. I mean, all Luke Kuechly ever was the greatest linebacker in the game the entire time he played, period.
Yeah, but I guess that speaks to the process again.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Because you're sitting here going, well, I got a senior, I got a coach, I got this, I got that. I ask you the question about being embarrassed because there are times where we all work at the media. We all deal with friends and people. You go to party. I'm afraid when I play golf, I don't tell people what I do because I don't want them. I don't want them. Oh man, you're the media. Fake news, this, that, and all the other stuff that we got to deal with in our lives, right? So I'm just saying to you, it feels like your entire voting process and community and the people who make up that panel are kind of under this you can paint with this broad brush. Like, what do these idiots know if they can't get Bill Belichick in with 6 Super Bowls, right?
Well, and that's one of the reasons I feel a little protective over this process, because one of the things that happened with the Belichick news the other week is there was an immediate shouting down of, let's find the 11 idiots who. Let's find these people. And by not sharing, I mean, and again, I try not to be some white knight riding in for the sanctity of the hall or anything like that, but I feel protective over the process and the people who want to vote their consciences. And if we allow this online lynch mob to shout us down for bad opinions, guess what's going to happen in next year's meeting?
Right.
Very sanitized, very groupthink opinions. Well, I mean, if there are enough people, unlike me, who give a damn what online lynch mobs say, and I really don't. I've learned the secret in my 50-some years on this earth to stop reading the mentions. And it's hard to hurt my feelings when I don't see the ugly things you say about me.
And I wish, to your point about that, and I've noticed this over the last couple of years too, like you, I'm not spending as much time on Twitter these days. It really is the one social media platform that leads to these kinds of things. And I wish our colleagues would understand that some of the people making the comments might not even be real people, because they understand that the engagement farming comes from bots and things like that. And what you might be responding to, or what you think is an actual sentiment, might be coming from just a handful of people and they're all up in your mentions, or they're just bots. So why are you affected by these types of things? And I find that kind of interesting. For instance, like we talk about Bryce Young, right? You can't have a civil conversation about Bryce Young just on Twitter. You just can't.
Oh,
you just can't. Now you can have that civil conversation.
You can have a civil conversation about anything on Twitter.
This is true. And to your, like you famously coined the phrase Cam Newton makes people stupid. Well, I mean, 10 years later, I know what's making people stupid. It's happening on Twitter right now. And that's my transition to 10 years ago when Cam Newton was making people stupid. Okay. Back when people were writing, remember when they used to write letters to the editor of newspapers that actually had sports sections?
Yeah.
Or did
Rosemary Porin, what's she up to? Has she been on the show?
She has not. I figured you would do the retrospective on that. Have you not found her? I thought that'd be on Panthers.com, Darin. Of all the people.
Oh my! Maybe for the 20th anniversary, we'll cycle back.
There we go. We'll track her down. So in 10 years' time, things kind of get lost in the memory hole. I've noticed this as we hit the 20th anniversary. Speaking of 20th anniversaries of the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup, everything has kind of been centered around Rod Brind'Amour for obvious reasons, because he was the captain and now he's the coach and they're going to the playoffs and they're having this success. He's the guy. Except when you go back, you kind of forget, oh, no, Eric Stahl was the guy during that run, right? Excellent. All-timer, right? So what has been lost in time in the last 10 years for the Carolina Panthers in that Super Bowl season?
I think it's important. Well, I mean, this was a team driven by two of the brightest stars in the game on either side of the ball. One, Luke Kuechly, who we just spent a lot of time talking about, but Cam was the other one. I mean, Cam kind of dragged along an offense that had a Jonathan Stewart and a Mike Tolbert and a really good run game, but the receivers were kind of a bunch of guys. And listen, Jericho Cotchery caught it. Don't get me started on that. But Cam Newton, with the help of a powerful run of game, great defense, a lot of dudes on that defense, Cam was the guy that year. He was the league MVP. And again, you want to talk about messy? Wait till next year when Cameron Jarrell Newton is a first-year eligible Hall of Fame candidate.
Oh, boy.
And listen, do I have material? I do. Cam was singular that year. I mean, he truly was, when he was out there running around without Kelvin Benjamin, when Kelvin tears his ACL in training camp that year, it just changed the face of the team. And you would say it took them a moment to adjust to not having their lead receiver, their alpha, their 1A, but they didn't. They went 15-1, and they did that because of Cam.
I would bet, when does Greg Olsen come up?
Greg was eligible this year. I think Greg was part of the final 50, but not 25, perhaps. He did not get to the 25 semifinalist stage.
Okay.
Which is really hard for Greg because Greg occupies a unique place in the history of that position because he was the first tight end to go 3 straight years of 1,000 receiving yards, 13, 14, 15. And that's something that no one else had ever done in the sport. But immediately after that came this wave of guys that included Kelsey, that include Gronkowski, that include a lot of dudes who are coming along in the next couple of years who will kind of overshadow him on the whole in terms of those big receiving numbers that get people noticed.
So how many people do you have to argue for?
He's got work cut out for him.
Like, you got work, dude. So we got to. Sorry. So let me get this
Do
straight.
you have to prioritize them, or does the Hall prioritize?
Well, I mean, part of this is taken care of by the process. I mean, we're only really getting up, making the presentations, advocating on behalf of once it reaches that final 15 stage.
Okay.
There is a little bit of information sharing, shall we say, during those early stages. And frankly, as we move through this process next year, I might spend a lot more time reminding people exactly how good Steve Smith is and Cam Newton and Greg Olsen. I mean, and I've said this about Ryan Khalil too, because Ryan did not make that final 50. Ryan Khalil would have been an all-decade center because he was the center of the time he was playing, except his effective career was from 07 to 15. So he sort of straddled 2 decades and couldn't get any traction in that all-decade voting in either one because of the amount of time spent. But it's a shame because he was an elite player. And that's the thing I keep going back to is, were you the guy? Were you the dude at your position at the time you were playing? And listen, I'm hoping enough people agreed with me tonight that Luke Kuechly was that guy. I hope so.
Okay. Going back to Steve Smith, since you have to make these arguments, you brought up Jake Delhomme. Are you allowed to bring Jake to the meeting where then Jake could be like, you don't have to hear Darin say it, I'm going to say it?
Just what does he have to wear, the I'm with stupid t-shirt and kind of point at me?
Basically, Jake Delhomme being just straight up like, guys, come on.
Right.
Like, let's be honest about my career, okay? And Steve Smith did this. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
See if Jake can do that.
It's possible, and Jake's very gracious about that.
Yeah, he always has been, yes.
Jake understands exactly where Jake Delhomme belongs in the firmament of, football stars. He is a guy who made the most of that which he possessed. And I think, he's always said, I mean, he gets up on the balls of his feet when he starts talking about Steve, and that voice quickens up a little bit, and you get that Cajun coming out of him every now and then. So it's hard. I mean, and I really do. I believe I have seen a lot of football, and a lot of it's been Carolina Panthers football. And in 30 some years, I haven't seen a player have a season like Steve Smith had in 2005 in my life. He was uncoverable. I mean, and that was coming off a broken ankle in the 04 opener that really derailed the progress. Steve was only becoming that dude in the 03 season. Then he breaks his ankle in the 04 opener, and we don't see him again until 05. And he came out, and he was just unstoppable. I mean, people did everything they could. The entire defensive game plan was, how do we stop Steve Smith? And they didn't stop him.
He was also a munchkin too. Like, you got to take that into account.
The only thing that'll really make Steve angry anymore is if you leave off the 3 quarters in his height. If you just say 5'9", that's when old Steve will kind of come out a little bit. You got to give him that 3 quarters. He's almost 5'10".
Speaking of height, and we can close on this, Darin. I'm going to pull this up. You can see it on YouTube. I'll describe it to the audio-only audience. But I was going back and I was watching Bryce Young's interview with Pat McAfee yesterday. Just see what Bryce had to say. Bryce, very, very comfortable. We know when Bama Bryce comes out, he's super comfortable, and he's
no doubt.
He's a great personality, right?
It's always super everything. He's super this.
So Bryce comes out to dap up Pat McAfee. And last time I checked, I went to the Panthers website just to double check. Bryce Young is listed at 5'10". I am also 5'10". Pat McAfee's listed at 6'1", and you can sit here and tell me it's the camera angle, all this other stuff. I watched this video in real time. I did the best screen grab I could. But those are two guys looking at each other eye to eye, Darin. Somebody's not being truthful about their height.
Maybe Pat's got lifts in. I don't know.
Hey, does Drake May fever in Charlotte, or is it Hornets fever in Charlotte? What's dominating right now?
Listen, what a time to be alive. The Charlotte Hornets are good at sports again.
Yeah.
They're trading for people to make them better instead of worse. I mean, this is bananas. I was literally on a plane, and allow me a 20-second timeout for a PSA.
It's fine.
If you are a human being on a 5-hour flight and you recline your seat in the first 2 minutes of that flight, expect passive aggression from me for the next 4 hours and 58 minutes. The 5'6" husky gentleman who sat in front of me on the plane out here yesterday, he got nudged, he got bumped. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get this out from under my seat and shake your seat a little bit. He kept turning around and glaring, and I was like, please say something to me. Allow me to sermonize here in the middle of this plane on how you are committing antisocial behavior. Just don't do it. It's a 1% increase in comfort for you. It's a 98% decrease in comfort for the person behind you.
I love it.
That being said, I was on a plane yesterday when the Hornets trade for Kobe White, and it's like, bring it on, baby.
Oh, let's go.
Even if Mike Conley never plays a minute here, even if he goes up there with Hornets legend Kyle Lowry, I'm totally cool with that deal because the Hornets are making moves that they're a fun watch, man. I am one of those weirdos who prefers NBA basketball because it's actually good basketball. And man, they are a fun watch. They're moving the ball up and down the floor. They're scoring. They're doing cool stuff.
Well, I'm looking forward to the New England Patriots winning, Drake May getting the MVP trophy, and Charlotte Observer columnist Scott Fowler popping out of a trash can on the field right there to get Drake.
I think he's part of the family now, isn't he?
I think he is. He's
got the home movies. Are those in Super 8?
I think they are in Super 8. I think it's fantastic. Look, Scott's been waiting for this moment, Darin. He has been waiting for this moment.
He was so
bored.
mad that Jim Nance told that story.
Man, Scott had that ready, locked and loaded, ready to go. And here comes Jim Nance telling the damn Panther story, man.
That happens. And listen, I mean, when you get enmeshed in these stories and when you cover people like that for a long time, you do feel protective and kind of parochial over the story. I remember 2 years ago when Julius goes into the Hall of Fame, I had spent a lot of time around Julius and really spent a lot of time with the family and the backstory, talked to his mom, and Julius was very gracious with his time. And he talked about how much he hated growing up in Eastern North Carolina, working on cabbage farms as a kid. And Julius talked about picking cucumbers and cabbages and how much he hated that and how much that motivated him to become Julius Peppers. Well, fast forward to the Hall of Fame induction weekend, and the Hall has found a spoken word poet who does these presentations during the Gold Jacket dinner. And I had already dialed up this story. I mean, the story I wrote for Panthers.com the day of the induction was about Julius and his work ethic and escaping these farms in Eastern North Carolina. And the poet comes out on stage and he's just telling the story of the farm. And I'm like, you're killing me.
No!
Yeah, it was that slow motion. No! And you just can't stop it. But, we see these stories. We tell them so many times over the years. Sometimes we feel like they're ours and ours alone, but they're for the people. We are merely servants of the story.
Hey, man, I've been there with some things that have had interviews that we've done, and it's like, wait a minute.
But here's the thing. If you never call it an exclusive, then you never have to worry about getting embarrassed.
You know what? This interview was exclusive to this podcast live on YouTube between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, exclusive to this window. Darin Gantt, Panthers.com, a real one, Hall of Fame guy. Thank you for explaining the process best you could.
Namaste. I appreciate you guys. And
listen, tonight.
Tune in to Panthers.com tonight. We got a lot of cool stuff between T-Mac, being a finalist for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and the anticipated stuff about Luke that a lot of people think's a favorite going into tonight. We've got you covered at Panthers.com. So keep it locked on the .com, keep it locked on the YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button. We've got you covered.
Sound like a man who's had to read that a few too many times.
Good
All
work,
right.
Mr. B.
Could I do this for a living, you think?
Yeah, I think so. All right, Darin, we'll talk to you later, man.
See y'all.
Look, I only brought that up in the context of all of us being able to relate to what happened to Scott Fowler with the Drake May story. It's happened to us. I know that you've written something that it gets picked up on a broadcast and you're like, wait a minute.
No, the most famous one was, I did not feel like it was my job to fire Sidney Lowe, so I did not tell Sidney Lowe or break the news about what was happening, because that was not my job.
I see.
And then Jeff Goodman ended up with a version of it. And now I knew about it on State lost on Thursday. I knew about it on Friday. I wasn't holding it. It was just, again, that was Debbie's job to tell Sidney what was happening, not my job.
Wait, so you're talking about breaking the news or specifically telling Lowe?
Both.
Oh.
Because they lost on a Thursday to Maryland.
Yes.
I'm driving home.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Had a conversation. They were going to have a meeting on Monday, was going to be the meeting.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'll write on Monday that you're having a meeting. And I, of course, was talking to Sidney in between. And when I was talking to Sid, he was like, Lee Fowler would bring me back for that 6th year. And I'm like, right.
Sure.
But he's not there anymore.
He's long gone. He's back at the lake house now.
All I said to him was, did you see the billboard when you left Greensboro? And he was like, which one? I said, Wolfpack Unlimited, the refusal to accept the status quo.
Yeah.
He was like, huh.
So you were telegraphing to him.
I was trying to.
Yeah, you were trying.
But that wasn't my job.
Yeah.
So
it's like, here's all the information.
Here we are.
You can put that together.
Here we are on Sunday. And I remember sitting at my kitchen table. And sure enough, Jeff Goodman, at the time working for ESPN, Debbie, we'll meet with Sidney Lowe tomorrow. And it's like, well, what do you think's going to happen when they meet?
How about that? How about that? I don't have this on any of the prop bets that I looked up. I do not see Scott Fowler popping out of a trash can during the MVP.
Probably doesn't rise to that level.
I mean, I don't know. You never know. Like, can I get odds on that? I'll take maybe something on Polymarket has it, right? In fact, as of yesterday, Polymarket, one of those weird predictive markets, there's a 55% chance that Collinsworth will say Mahomes during the Super Bowl.
And he's not here. That's his guy. Yeah.
That's right. And even I was reading on Awful Announcing this morning that even Collinsworth is like, I mean, I don't even think about it. I'm like, right, because you just can't stop talking about Patrick Mahomes, So there's a 55% chance he will reference Mahomes. In fact, I was reading a story on ESPN from their betting guy, and Dimitri had put it on my plate, and we talked about it a little bit on OG Business, into how Kalshi and Polymarket have completely made the announcers' jobs more difficult than it needs to be, because they are now riding on, like, people are actually betting on things that will be said. So we've gone beyond is it going to be heads or tails? What color will the Gatorade be? Will the national anthem be over 2 minutes or not? Like all those types of things. Now we're betting on Chris Collinsworth saying Mahomes. Come on now. Now, you know what my favorite kind of prop is? When you start intermingling the sports.
Yes.
So we got, I found this one. Drake May will have more passing yards than there will be total points in Sunday's Timberwolves Clippers game.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that?
No.
Patriots first half money line.
Patriots first half money line?
Apparently the Patriots have not trailed at halftime since week 3. I did not know that.
Yeah, they returned a punt against Tennessee to cover for me. So that's what I meant when they were on a little bit of a run.
So there you go.
No, the Super Bowl is what gave us one of the Super Bowl 13 is the Super Bowl that almost broke all of Las Vegas. It almost never, all of this that we have today almost never existed.
Yeah. So I was, to bring it back, I was talking about the spreads. I was reading Neil Payne this morning on his Substack, and he said teams with point spreads of -4, 4.5, -5, 5.5 have won with a score differential of exactly 5 or 6 just 10 times out of 109 games in the past 5 seasons. In other words, you probably are better off going with an alternate line rather than one of those point spreads. The benefit at an alternate line is acquiring more lucrative prices.
Yeah, I mean, if I was betting on this game straight, I would take the Patriots on the points. That's
Okay.
what I would do. There's 3 total outcomes. Seattle wins, they win big. Seattle wins, they win close, or the Patriots win. You get 2 of those 3 outcomes. So that's just logic. But Super Bowl 13, Joe, Black Sunday, 1979. It opened as the Steelers minus 2.5, closed as the Steelers minus 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers ended up beating the Cowboys 35-31. That means everybody at the beginning of the week who had the Steelers to cover the 2.5 won. Everybody who had the Cowboys at the end of the week plus 4.5 won.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, according to various reports, lost more than $3 million that day, which back in 1979 was a lot. The Lefty Rosenthal of the Stardust claims that they lost $1.6 million that day.
Jeez.
Black Sunday.
I wonder if I can get Polymarket or Kalshi on what Tom Brady will wear at the Super Bowl. Now, it's not his broadcast.
Well, he's in trouble,
NBC,
right, with his teammates?
Right. Is he going to show up looking like Rob Lowe with the NFL hat?
He should.
So that, he's not picking sides. Yeah, apparently he did his podcast with Jim Gray, the Let's Go podcast.
Ooh, the only time it's ever gotten a headline right now.
Well, that's the only
on
time.
the ESPN.
Yeah, it's the only time this podcast ever shows up. Is Tom Brady retiring? Yes or no? And then now this, which is apparently pissed off just about everybody
With the Patriots
and his old teammates.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Bill Simmons was so mad about this that he did one of those classic Instagram walk and talks. He was on his daily walk with a weighted vest or whatever, walking the streets of the Los Angeles area. And he was like incensed. He's like, I even pulled for you when you were in Tampa. And now
How
this?
dare you not care about me or my city or my team the way that I do?
So apparently Brady says, I don't have a dog in this one. I can't find the audio. I'm just reading the quotes from the Let's Go podcast. I don't have a dog in this fight. May the best team win. And in terms of the Patriots, this is a new chapter in New England, and I'm glad everyone's embraced the Mike Vrabel regime. His former teammate, by the way. All the amazing players that have worked, blah, blah, blah. He's going into nonsense mode. We did it for 20 years. There's a little bit of a hiatus in there, just a little bit. And the Patriots are back, and it's a very exciting time for everyone in New England, end quote. He goes on to say, I just want to see a good football game. I want to see good plays, good throws, good strategy, good decisions. He stopped short of saying, I just hope that both teams have fun.
Right.
Go sports. It's the only thing that was missing from Tom Brady.
He'll wear a Raiders something.
Who knows?
Raiders hat.
Is this a thing or not a thing? Because I have a theory, but is this a thing or not a thing?
You could be upset as a former teammate. Like, hey, man, we did this together.
Dude, they're roasting his ass at Radio Row.
We poured this thing out together. We made this work. And now you're going to act like that didn't matter and it didn't count or whatever is in their brains of where he is. But listen, the top 1% are at a different level than you and me. Like Vince Wilfork might be a Hall of Famer for all I know. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Vince, these are not your problems. If he wants to go around acting like it didn't happen or it didn't matter to him, then that's on him, not on you.
Here's my hot take. He is so competitive, Tom Brady. He's so competitive, and he still needs that competitive juice, like all the greats do.
Well, he definitely didn't want Mahomes winning last year. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
You talk about getting to that 1%. He's even in a much more finite number than that. He's in the top 1% of the 1%, if you will. Okay. And we know this from the late Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant for a while there was in a weird place when he said, I don't have friends. My friends are the banners and those types of things. Right. Like nobody can get on my level because I'm so competitive, etc. Michael Jordan. The whole thing about Michael Jordan is that's when I took it personal. You have to get yourself in that weird mindset. And you see it to varying degrees of people out there hunting the slights to motivate themselves. But I'm convinced that Brady is so competitive that there's a little bit of him that's mad that the Patriots are back. That there's a little bit of Tom Brady, not venom, but a little bit of like, are you fucking serious? You're already trying to set up Drake May as like the next version of me? Stop it. Drake May is not me. It's not the same story. He's got to do it for X amount of years, all this other kind of stuff, right? Like, come on, stop with that. And I would get mad if I'm Tom Brady too, because we act as though it's like the same thing that bothers me with the whole Mike Krzyzewski lore or the Dean Smith lore. when people say, when the current coach is going through a bad stretch. Well, they hung Dean Smith in effigy. Right. It's Dean freaking Smith. We know the rest of the story. He's an all-timer. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. You're acting as though some jabroni is going to be the next one to do it. No, it doesn't work that way. He's Dean Smith for a reason. Same with Mike Krzyzewski. It's the whole, the Iron Dukes want to get rid of him. Right? Right. And then he went on to go win 5 national championships. So, yes, that's part of the lore. Not every coach gets to go out and win 5 national championships. So I could see where Tom is going like, are you serious right now? You guys are already talking about some next dynasty? Please stop it already. So there's probably a little bit of them competitive-wise. That's like, no, I am the best to ever do it. I am the reason why the Patriots are what they are right now. And I don't need you acting as though this is just who we are as an institution. I made you, right? Like,
I don't hate it as a take.
I don't hate it. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that I don't. I see where Tom is coming from in the context of being super competitive. Big thanks to DraftKings. Super Bowl 60 on deck, and Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment. And DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the Super Bowl, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. And, of course, we have our Duke Carolina game as well. We still don't have a number for that, do we? For the Duke Carolina game, do we? I'm looking now.
Not till Friday.
I'm actually pulling up the DraftKings app right now. So, no, I don't see that right now. It's always wanting me to log in. Hold on a second. Let me log in.
We're not going to get until Friday.
Then won't come down to okay. Fair enough. I just want to see what they have on the my favorite thing to do, the Super Bowl props. So I'm pulling this up live.
I mean, Ken Palm's never really wrong though, so they should be Duke -6.
Well, right now, Ken Palm. Yeah, I was gonna say Ken Palm's got Duke winning this at a 70% chance of winning. Last time I checked.
No, but he's got it at 78, 72. So.
Gotcha. The line has not moved. As you know, lines, odds, all that stuff is subject to change, but it's been sitting at 4.5 the entire week. Again, 4.5 for the Seattle Seahawks. Not much has changed in terms of Super Bowl MVP. Plus 115 for Sam Darnold, plus 240 for Drake May. Those are your odds on favorite. I do love this single game parlay, though, from DraftKings.
Okay.
It's called Seeing Ghosts.
Oh, man.
That's good.
That's very good.
Sam Darnold under 230.5 passing yards. JSN under 96.5 receiving yards. Cooper Kupp under 33.5 receiving yards. And Walker under 70.5 rushing yards. Plus 750 currently. That might be a $5 game.
Who popped that one?
What do you mean?
First of all, they never give unders.
I know they never give unders, but
so that had to be like a Bill Simmons.
No, this
Patriots
is just a straight up
interesting
SGP. So there you go. And then there's this is another one. They're reading. They're paying attention. There's one called Schedule Merchants. The Patriots played the easiest schedule opponent combined win percentage by any team since 1999. So it's a bunch of unders. Drake May under 220 passing yards.
Interesting.
Stephon Diggs under 45.5 receiving yards. So that's plus 650. There's a whole parlay there. So they're having some fun with it. And that's the beauty of DraftKings. Look, anything can happen. These lines are subject to change. Obviously, I'm talking about them right now, Thursday at 3:09 p.m. in the afternoon. But that could change between now and Sunday. So head on over to the DraftKings Sportsbook. Go check that out. And here's the thing about DraftKings. They got your back with early exit. If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. New to DraftKings? No problem. New customers can bet just $5. You'll get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code OG25. That's OG25. You can turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY. Or you can text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Big thanks to our friends at Miller Lending. You can check them out online at millerlending.com. Call them directly at 919-447-3377. Here's the thing about Gordon's mad.
He is?
Because he'd be in here in studio right now going over props.
Yeah.
He's the prop king. All right. He loves messing around with those numbers. But what he doesn't like messing around with is things like closing costs. Okay. Closing costs, those are silly. It is a no-win situation for you. You're basically banking on the fact that you're going to keep your mortgage for the entirety of the 30 years, as if rates don't come up and down. The math does not math on paying closing costs. Gordon doesn't play that game, and you can take advantage of it by contacting him today. 919-447-3377. Tell him we sent you. Go to millerlending.com or call directly. Tell him we sent you, and you'll get a Butcher's Market gift basket. Not too shabby. And Gordon will tell you.
That's a win.
That's not a cheap gift basket, all right? It's not cheap. So go take advantage today. Also, you can take advantage of getting a rowback straight from Joe Giglio. He's wearing a rowback right now. I am wearing the rowback undershirts today because they're super, super comfortable and light. And you can find all these goodies at Rowback. Go check them out online at rowback.com. You can use that promo code OG20. Again, that's promo code OG20. They're dropping new stuff all the time. They got Mardi Gras collection. They got a new North Carolina shirt that combines the state outline and a pig. You can get the Oak City collection as well with all little like drawings of things around Raleigh. It's all fantastic stuff. You want to get hyped for the Duke Carolina game? They got Duke and Carolina stuff as well. So head on over to rowback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Big thanks to our friends at Hometown Realty. You can check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. Been around for a long time. They know the market very, very well. They understand new construction and the incentives that go with it. You can take advantage of it when you contact our friends at Hometown Realty. And speaking of being in the area and looking out for you, Matt Davis over at State Farm. InsureGarner.com, 919-779-8277. Don't be like Joe Giglio. Don't try to do your financial planning based on tickets. Actually come up with a plan that will set you up for retirement. Be smart. Contact our guy, Matt Davis. Yes, he can save you money on home and auto. If you have not looked at your insurance rates in a while, call. You got nothing to lose. But if you're looking for some long-term financial planning, Matt can help you out. InsureGarner.com or 919-779-8277. Looking at the YouTube real-time comments, it appears that you sent some people down some memory lane of places on Hillsborough Street that you might have
I still can't remember that is, but
it is what it is. It is what it is. Yes, from Gucci Mane, talking about the Four Loko original brews back in 2009. Yes, you could get that at the 612 there in Mission Valley.
Yes.
It was the 612,
6
right?
and 12.
The 6 and 12, because the old P Street Market used to be the 7 even, right? So the Mission Valley location for your convenience store was the 6 and 12, and you could get OG Four Loko. I remember when they took the originals off the market, I went and bought one of each flavor. And I think I gifted them to my brother when it's all said and done. Yeah, Cal bringing up the fact that Pantana's pool hall and saloon still there. Now, it's not the one that was across the street, because that was the one that where Damon Thornton, NC State player, got in trouble. Remember, he backed into a cop?
Yeah.
I remember being there that night. I was drinking with Mike Solarte at Pantana Bob's.
Whoa.
And Damon Thornton was there later. Then I found out the next day he got in trouble.
The other DT.
He would, yes. You pointing up that the alley was your favorite spot back in the day. R.I.P. the bowling alley. Man. That was good stuff. That was good stuff back in the day. Anyway, people are going back and yes, Jackpot. No conversation can be had. Now, Jackpot was by the IHOP.
Whoa.
Do you remember Jackpot?
No.
Oh, that was like before. That's when you needed a membership card to get into certain places.
See, now I think my pool hall turned into Jackpot. If it's right by the IHOP.
Yes. Okay. So, all right. So now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now I know exactly what you're talking about. Got it. Now it's all coming together.
Okay.
I did not realize it was a pool hall before it was Jackpot.
I think so. I think we're talking about the same thing.
spot.
It's right by the.
I remember it as Jackpot, and that's where the cool hipster kids would hang out back in the day.
Okay.
I mean, at least that's where I remember.
And what was it? A bar?
Yeah, it was just a bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a straight up bar. And I know.
Why am I hearing the cop sirens? Did you just hear that or no?
I don't know. Maybe they're coming for us. I have no idea.
Could be. I mean,
all right, let's go to the OG sports phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
What's so funny?
the tahini at the Rat. What is our guy Blind Limigello talking about?
The tahini? I don't remember that. There's tahini, which is the spicy salt rim that you can put on certain drinks. But I'm not really tracking with the tahini. So anyway, let's go to the OG Sports phone. Let's go to a 919.
Hey boys, John from Richmond. Thinking ahead to Saturday's game, I just got a feeling that Pat Gungba is going to be how this game turns. He was a secondary character last year, but when he was in the game, he was always doing something to get under the skin of the opposition, a la Draymond Green, Vlade Divac. So I just think at some point, he's going to elicit some reaction from Wilson or Vassar, and it'll go one way or the other. But I'm looking at Pat to be kind of the straw that stirs the drink of like the action and the drama of Saturday's game. Side note, college baseball starts next weekend. Appreciate you guys covering it in May and June. Hopefully that continues this year. Roll humps. Cheers, boys.
Roll humps. I do feel the fact that everybody's pointing out a key player in this Duke Carolina game shows you how this is a matchup that's actually pretty even, all things considered. The one thing I will say is that if I was to pick the winner, I would pick Duke. Not because I think Carolina's bad. I just think that Duke defensively has been more consistent and more thorough, especially during this stretch of ACC play. They know what they are, they know who they are, and they're playing in the way that John wants them to be playing. Hubert has done a great job of getting guys like Caleb Wilson and everybody else to trust, hey, getting out of these double teams and making things, and also, giving it over to Derek Dixon, all that kind of stuff, getting their better defined roles. I just think that Duke's a little bit further ahead in that regard. And I've seen them more consistently and thoroughly play defense more so than I've seen Carolina do that. I think that's what ultimately will be the difference.
Where far out thou, Caleb Foster? Scored 20 against Louisville. Since then, 0 against SMU, 9 against Cal, 0 against Stanford, 8 against Wake, 7 against Louisville, 7 against VT, 8 against BC. And you say, well, who cares, Giglio? Duke keeps winning.
No, this matters.
I will tell
this
you,
matters.
When we get to the great game, and Duke is in the great game now in these games. Yeah. Because remember last year, how many times did they really beat somebody last year? If you think about it. Seriously.
No, they didn't hammer.
No. Well, I'm saying they played Kansas and, somebody dribbled off their foot. Played Kentucky. Somebody slipped on the wet spot. Yeah. Played Clemson. Same guy. Cooper Flagg fell on his ass and turned the ball over. They get to the Final Four. So when the money's on the table, what we've seen this year against Florida, money on the table, Boozer makes a great play, kicks it over to Evans, makes the shot. Yep. So we've seen a couple situations already this year with the money on the table for Duke. That's been encouraging. So we're getting to the great game now, but the great game is won in threes and not by 3-pointers, but 3 players. Yes. There's a rule of 3 in basketball. There's always been a rule of 3 in basketball. And that's my big question for Duke. Who's the third guy? Who's the third gunman? And that's where it comes down to.
Caleb Foster.
Could it be Gungba? Of course it could be. Could it be Caleb Foster? We've seen it. Games where Caleb Foster is that guy. Yeah. Right? When needed. So that's what I'm interested in this week. This is what I'm interested in on Saturday. Let's go to a 336.
What's up, Joe and Joe? I'm responding to something y'all talked about. I think it was yesterday, talking about UNC and State being in the same tier. But I noticed a tweet from y'all saying that UNC fans never call in. I'm starting to feel like I'm the only one that does. But this whole deal about UNC State being in the same tier.
I'm going to pause it right there. You're not the only one. Hey, shout out to Paul, right? Shout out to Mike. Mikey, DFW, right?
Yeah.
So we do have Carolina people who do call in, and we'll explore this tomorrow on the mailbag. This is more of a mailbag thing, explaining how the OG sports phone works and also how fan bases work.
We have to explain how
Well, I got
Are you saying some of it's performative, like I am erect?
I don't think that was performative.
We just beat 4 and 5 SMU. I am erect.
I don't think that was performative. That's the thing.
Okay. You
That's the thing.
come
Joe.
on, you don't just say that.
Honestly, I think Will
That
Wade.
was rehearsed.
I think Will Wade has guys thinking like this. Okay. No, but we'll explore a little bit more tomorrow. Is like who calls and why they decide to call.
Okay.
Okay. There's a method to this, and like people who ask these questions, I don't know. No, I know why. But we'll get into that tomorrow on the mailbag.
Made about, we're mad that we're not the same as Duke right now. And you know what? I got to kind of give it to you there. I am mad that we haven't been performing at the same level as Duke as consistently for the past few years. Of course I am. How could I not be? And then you bring up the numbers. Can't argue with them. Not going to. But I think the frustration comes from we've beaten Kansas. We beat Virginia. We beat Kentucky. We beat these good teams. And it's not like Kentucky's a top 25 team, but we've beaten these really good teams. And it seems like in the national media, at least, this isn't on y'all, in the national media, we don't get credit for it. And I can't understand why. It gets really frustrating. And I'm not the biggest Hubert fan. I understand that we're at a coaching disadvantage when it comes to in almost every matchup. I understand that we're up by 32 and won by 10 against Syracuse. I get those things. We still won at the end of the day. But we've beaten the really good teams that we've played. We beat Virginia at Virginia. And now people are saying, well, Virginia's a tier ahead of Carolina. How? We just beat them. You say there's a great way for us to settle UNC versus State tier on February 17th at Lenovo Center. Great. Agreed. But why are we being consistently underrated, saying that we're not on the same tier as the rest of these teams? I'll give you Duke. But Virginia, we beat them at their court. Louisville hasn't looked good in a month. And State got the big win at Clemson. That's great. Outside of that, what's going on? And don't get me wrong, I am worried about February 17th. Darian Williams is starting to hit shots. He looks great. So I'm concerned about it, but it's a little bit frustrating when it feels like our big wins are discounted and our small wins or the losses get blown up and said, well, Carolina sucked.
Yeah, I think there's two different, and yes, that's a good call. First,
it's a very, very good call. Yes,
but I think there's two different things. I think nationally, when you talk about Carolina, the losses are being held against them. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Not
in
against
California in particular.
It's not against them. They're being held against him.
Hubert.
The through line for this is that people made up their minds about Hubert Davis.
Sure.
And now everything is just stacking up on your side of the argument. However you see it, you're stacking up what you want on that side of the argument. So I just want to get that clear right out of the gate, that the reason why Carolina is discussed the way it is nationally is ultimately nobody believes in Hubert Davis. I mean, I spent an entire thing with Gary Parrish on the Ion College Basketball Podcast, which was set up simply to discuss Hubert Davis's job and what this year was about. This has always been positioned as an inflection year for Hubert Davis.
It is.
And this Saturday is an inflection game, not just for the rest of the season, but also for Hubert Davis and the record against Duke and where John Shire is. So if you want to know why wins are not necessarily blown up and the losses get this kind of reaction, is because people are arguing about Hubert. Now, if you wanted to talk to me about Caleb Wilson and why Caleb Wilson is not being discussed in the same way that Cameron Boozer is, or AJ DeBanzer, or Darren Peters, any number of people, right? I'm here for that conversation because I don't know it either. Because Caleb Wilson, like pound for pound, is everything you want in a college basketball player in 2026. And yet, He's not almost underrated. He's absolutely underrated in what he's been doing this year. But I think those are two conversations as well.
I think Carolina, a couple different things to your point, and I'll give you a Caleb Wilson mea culpa.
Yeah.
Carolina lost 3 or 4 ACC games. So you go SMU loss in a game where they could not play any defense. They come home, they beat Wake in a game where they collapsed in the second half. Then you think, oh, well, they'll respond.
Yeah.
And then they have the 2 bad losses to the California teams. You might expect 1 loss. That's been the pattern for ACC teams, but it was both. So you put it all together. You have 3 losses in 4 games against, quite frankly, teams that North Carolina should not lose to. Period.
Agree.
Okay.
Agree.
North Carolina should not lose to the new ACC teams.
Agree.
Ever. So there's that. That's why nationally. Now, within the ACC, I'm willing to hear so my tiers were based on national and what they can do in the NCAA tournament when we talked about that on Monday.
Right.
If you want to talk about what teams have done to differentiate themselves within the ACC, I mean, Duke, obviously, still over here. Okay. Even if Carolina beats Duke at home on Saturday, they're still over here. Then I do think Carolina, Clemson, Virginia, and State are in the same block.
Yeah.
Even within the ACC, they're in the same block. Because, yes, Carolina beat Virginia. State lost to Virginia. Well, State beat SMU. Carolina lost to SMU. You see, we could do this all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so State beats Clemson. We'll see what happens with Clemson. State lost. Guess State will get another look at Virginia. All I'm saying is I feel like the caller is right that Louisville should be pushed down, especially without Mikael Brown. But the last part I would say, I know why Carolina fans have a visceral reaction to being grouped with State. Caleb Wilson is better than anybody on State's roster. And so it's hard for you to reconcile, well, how can we be the same if we have the best player?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I get that mentality. I'm not trying to equate rosters. I'm not trying to equate State's best player to Caleb Wilson. I'm saying in terms of where the teams are, who they've played, what they've done to this point, they're in the same place. So they just are.
It's interesting. Chris Gallo, who writes a newsletter called Bless Your Chart, actually wrote about this. Actually came out earlier today, and I haven't read it. I just skimmed through it, but I do feel it's appropriate for the conversation in that there's more ways to build a resume than you might think, and why you get the numbers that look the way they do. And he specifically compared BYU and NC State.
Okay.
And how BYU built their stuff through the non-conference, and in the Big 12, their record. What is their big? I think what's their Big 12 record now? They're 5-4 in the Big 12. They keep losing in the Big 12, whereas NC State is now 8-2 in ACC play. And of course, the biggest factor here, they're 6-0 on the road, where I will say, got things slightly wrong, was about building your resume within conference play. Okay. And the reason why we haven't
been able to do that in the ACC in the last 4 years.
Right. Exactly. And yet NC State has bettered their standing and their numbers in the league conference, mostly because they've been doing it on the road, which obviously is weighted.
They've also been playing defense ever since.
There's that too.
The Asheville game.
So there's that too. So the whole point that Chris was making, and I agree with, is that it's a long season and there's different ways to build your resume. And that's why the numbers end up looking the way they do. And that's where we get to the Carolina NC State aspect of it all, and why they're very similarly positioned in net, in Ken Palm, in Vegas, and all this other kind of stuff. Now, if you want to go toe to toe for the roster, I'm going to take Carolina's roster every single time.
Caleb Wilson's by far better than anybody on NC State's team.
Without a doubt. But as we know, you might have the better roster, but sometimes you don't win games with the better roster. But if we're talking,
not always the way it works out.
If you talk roster and all that kind of stuff, then yes, there's no debate. Carolina's got the better roster.
Sure.
All right, one more call.
Hey, just a PSA, particularly for Gilio. Grab yourself a over-the-air antenna, so then you don't have that delay on Hulu. Or at the very least, just a little insurance in case Wi-Fi goes down or something, and then you won't miss any of the game. All right, love the show. Thanks, guys.
So I did that the first year. I used the rabbit ears.
It's not good.
And they gave out.
Yeah, they're not good.
Because of where I'm like positioned to my house and where I had the TV. And it's not really, it's like a mud flap. It's not really a rabbit ears anymore.
I had one. The problem is I lived down a hill in North Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And until all the leaves fall off the oak trees, it was a pain in the ass to get some over-the-air channels.
Yeah, no, we're just on the honor system over there in Garner.
From one of our listeners, they sent us this Reddit, like future considerations for the One Word Hall of Fame.
I don't know what this is in reference to, but that's amazing.
This is from John Boy. Aroldis Chapman was not approved to pitch for Great Britain in the World Baseball Classic because of his lineage-based documentation did not prove eligibility. And the caption just reads, "Not British." I like that's a good.
That's really
that's
good.
a good one for our friends over at Color Graphic for sure. And then you sent this to me in relation to our friend of the show, Chris Beard. Was it last night? He got tossed from Ole Miss, Tennessee, and for some reason he decided to say, "Go do your homework." And this was in relation to Rick Barnes. Like, I'm getting tossed. I'm fighting for my team. Well, I mean, look at Rick Barnes. He's a Hall of Famer. Go do your homework and look at his history, right? And what he's referencing is, I guess, this moment in ACC history where Rick Barnes famously went after Dean Smith. This was back at the ACC tournament, right?
Yep.
And this had been leading up to this point. This is a brief history of Triangle Good, if there ever was one, to explain the dynamics between Rick Barnes and Dean Smith and how we got here. And who
look at that fire, Ricky
I know.
from Hickory. You talk about the original Will Wade sheets.
So,
State fans are sweating watching that.
Exactly. Thank you.
We're fucking on the Will Wade bed tonight.
So before everybody
We
wanted
had somebody inquiring about where they could buy the Will Wade sheets, by the way.
But before people wanted to bang on the Will Wade sheets, people used to rub one out thinking about Rick Barnes as NC State's head coach. Okay? You want to talk about being erect. The thought of Rick Barnes, who stood up to Dean Smith.
The grainy footage.
He was going to leave Texas and take that state job so we could really stick it to Carolina, right? So that people used to get real worked up about Rick Barnes. So when Chris Beard says, "Go do your homework," yeah, dude, Chris, why don't you do your homework? Because Rick Barnes was going after Dean Smith for a buildup of things, including talking to his own player, talking to Rick's players,
whose son is a player now.
Right? Chris was just mad at a call. Like, that's not the same thing, bro. Like,
you're just being an asshole.
Which
tracks.
So look at that.
Well, Chris Beard can't control his emotions.
What?
No.
Now,
if only him being an asshole to us was the worst mark on his resume.
Oh boy. Now, that being said, seeing Rick Barnes go at Dean Smith, Wade can't do this.
Well, no,
he can't do this.
John and
it's not the
Hubert don't have the gravitas that Dean or Kay had.
No. So
or Roy would have had.
If Roy Williams was still coach, if Mike Krzyzewski was still coach, I mean, we still talk about the Mark Gottfried butt slap of Coach K on the way out of Lenovo Center.
Yeah.
So if those guys were still here and Will Wade was the coach, well, then yes, you are set up for a Rick Barnes cosplay.
See if Mark texted Will any advice on that. Here's how you handle Giglio, but here's how you handle the Duke coach.
Do a little butt slap on the way out. So I don't see Will Wade, history of a master of history of basketball. I don't see him doing that against Carolina or Duke this year.
Hey, you never know.
I just don't see that happening. Just do not see it. It would look more Matt Doherty than anything else. You know? I'm gonna bow up. No. It was the Duke Carolina game at the Center where you wanted to bow up on Chris Collins.
And yeah.
Like that would
same
be more
thing because they were talking to the player.
Yeah.
And it was like a history doesn't repeat, like you say.
It rhymes. It always rhymes. Always rhymes. Big thanks to our friends at Whitaker and Hammer. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. wh.lawyer. You were wrapping up.
No, I know, but May 2nd?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to do it Saturday, May 2nd, the birthday?
Hey, hit the button.
Oh, we're having a meeting. We're having a meeting. Do I need to text Josh right now?
I already texted him.
So we're good for the 2nd.
We're in pencil, but I'm going to put it in pen right now.
Put it in pen. Birthday bash. Now,
it's also the day of Jonathan Rand's wedding, but that's not till 6. Remember, we did it at
the same day?
Didn't we do it in the morning?
No, Rand's wedding's not the same day.
It is. I looked it up yesterday.
Oh, then we're gonna have to pregame then.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Isn't that what we did? We did
no,
like
we did it in the evening.
we did?
Yeah, we did it in the evening. So you want to do it? Okay. So I guess we have to do it if we're gonna go to Rand's wedding. Then we're gonna do like a lunchtime thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we ask people to bring envelopes for Rand's wedding?
Well, no, they don't.
Or bring envelopes for us?
No.
A little cash, you know?
5-2.
5-2.
Okay.
Same day as Rand's wedding.
Birthday.
Yes.
Number 3. We're out of our terrible 2s.
Yeah.
Don't tell any of our haters that though.
Just means we're gonna be 3-nagers now.
Yep.
So look out for that. All right. So May 2nd. Shady's.
Yeah.
Noon. High noon.
I say 11 if he'll let us in.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
We can drink at 11, right? Right?
We got to get those games going.
We also have to decide on the games. You're right about that.
Yeah.
So big shouts to our friends over at Whitaker and Haber. They've been with us from the jump, and they'll be helping us out with the birthday bash. And I don't know. Can we talk to Chris Brassfield about what we could do as like a tax write-off for the games and whatnot for calendar year 2026?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we went to Uline and we bought an actual
we haven't
grocery
gotten
cart.
the catalog since that
Because we
first
haven't
year.
purchased anything.
Okay.
Do you want to buy a grocery cart from Uline to use for grocery cart archery?
I was so jealous. Up on the 5th floor at the Lenovo Center, they had a bunch of like makeshift cabinets, and they were all Uline.
See,
and I was like, yeah, I know
they're real ones.
I know who gets that workout in that catalog, baby.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Look, if you got questions about how things work for your business, you need a fractional CFO. I don't have the answer to it. Joe doesn't have the answer to it.
I do not.
But Brassfield Accounting does have the answer for that. So check them out online at brassfieldaccounting.com. As we've mentioned, it is tax season. I just got to email Chris back so we can get him on next week.
Yes,
so we can chat about these things.
Yes.
But if you are an OG listener and you contact Brassfield Accounting today, they will do your personal taxes. It's not what they typically do, okay? But for OG listeners only, they will do your taxes. So hit them up, brassfieldaccounting.com. Again, that's brassfieldaccounting.com. Let's go wrap it up for today's OG Live. Big thanks to Governor Josh Stein for dropping by. Big thanks to Darin Gantt for illustrating and showing us how the Hall of Fame voting sausage is made. The process, man. It's always about the process. Always about the process. And of course, big thanks to y'all for watching us here on YouTube and listening to us on the podcast. We'll be back for a OG mailbag tomorrow morning. We will discuss the OG sports phone and how all that works. And yes, you guys have been hitting us up. I have seen it. Shout out to the $2 that Kenneth
Beast
gave
Carolina
us for Beast Carolina.
Pretty
and
smart.
Justin saying, hey, look, man, I'm late, but did you all talk about the potential millions of NIL money for ECU? They could be the SMU of North Carolina, maybe the Longhorns.
Mr. Beast finally has to launder his money through ECU. I love it.
Exactly. That is something that a lot of you have brought to our attention. I did see what he was doing, and that'll obviously be a OG mailbag topic for tomorrow. So you can hit us up on the OG Sports phone. You can leave a comment. You can hit us up on social media. That's how we get our stuff for the OG mailbag. And we will see you tomorrow for a very special OG mailbag.